Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, almost the end of another week. 1 o'clock tomorrow. So, this morning's compliance over coffee is about the NCA and SARs and what they have to do with sourcing. Not many people talk about this, in fact, very few people talk about this, but it's an intrinsic part of anti-money laundering and your ability to understand if someone could be attempting to launder money through you and what you have to do legally to be able to protect yourself from prosecution for having done nothing. So NCA stands for National Crime Agency. Now in general, the National Crime Agency are supervisors, monitors of crime generally across the UK. And they create reports annually, which I find interesting to read, but not everyone would. But part of that report is about money laundering, and part of it within money laundering will be about the estate agency sector, of course, which sourcing agents are a part. So it's the National Crime Agency that deal with suspicious activity reports, which is what an SAR is, or a SAR, and it is to them that you have to submit it. Now, this is a legal requirement under money laundering regulations that if you have sufficient suspicions about a client, you must submit a SAR to the National Crime Agency. So how do you go about doing this? You have to register with the National Crime Agency. Now, it's not a legal requirement for you to register with them as soon as you set up. We, for years, have never been registered with them, and HMRC have never blinked on our applications. But what I have noticed this time on renewal is that it's much more prominent. Morning Mova, actually, honestly, I've nearly finished mine this morning. I was naughty, but it was coffee, I promise. So you have to submit the SARs to the National Crime Agency. And in order to do so, you have to register with them. Now, registration is completely free of charge. And just to test what happened, I completed it this week just so that I could talk to you guys about it this morning. So I went through the application registration process. And if you Google NCA, SARS registration, it will bring you the National Crime Agency site up. And in the top right-hand corner is a little bar saying register. And all you do is you click on that. And they ask you a few basic questions about your business and you and contact details, so on and so forth. And they then send you two separate confirmation codes, if you like. One on screen, which you will have to screenshot and hold because you can't access it any other way. And if you lose it, they won't give you another one. It's one of those HMRC type things. And then the second one is in an email confirming that they've received your application, and there is code part 2. And then you go into confirming your application, and you need both codes, part 1, which was on the screen when you finished filling in your forms, and part 2, which comes in a separate email. You need both of the codes, and you put them in. And then they just send you a confirmation email that you're actually logged in. And you then have access to the system, and you can go in and have a look and open up the documents to see what a SAR actually looks like on their site as to what sort of information you need to fill in. Now, I will cover in a separate compliance over coffee what HMRC call and National Crime Agency call key indicators for potential suspicious activity. What constitutes suspicious activity? What level do you have to be suspicious at before you should be submitting a SARS? Because what they don't want is you having a telephone call with somebody who is anonymous, you don't know the name of, it didn't record the number, or it's a number that doesn't exist, but you believe they're up to something dodgy. They have to have something to work with. It's like almost like a criminal investigation for them. So they have to have something to work with. So your suspicions have got to be a little bit stronger than just a dodgy phone call with no name and no telephone number. But I'll talk to you about that in a separate compliance over coffee. We'll use that as a topic for that. So what I'm saying is that HMRC are making it front and centre at the moment. Are you registered with the NCA for SARS? And I think it's because a lot of estate agency businesses, of course, which we are one, are not submitting the level of SARs that they feel that we should be. So we've preempted for the first time in the 8 years or so that we've been registered for money laundering to register with NCA and have that availability there, and updated our AML registration to say that yes, we are registered with NCA for SARs. If you've ticked the box and you haven't done it, please do it, because I'm damn sure that HMRC can check whether you've registered with them or not. They're intrinsically linked. And I think it's a good exercise for you anyway, because it brings home the fact that a national crime agency considers money laundering to be one of the key danger factors for our country at any given stage, because it involves terrorism and all sorts of other nasty little crimes that people out there commit in order to then launder money through potentially you and your sourcing company. So that is SARS and NCA and National Crime Agency this morning. I hope that's helped. It's nothing to be worried about. It's nothing to be scared of. It's as easy as, in fact, easier than applying for even the ICO data protection registration. Take you about 15 minutes to fill in. That's about it. Doesn't cost you anything. And I think it's a good idea, as HMRC are now believing that we're not submitting the SARs that we should be. So maybe we should be showing willing and registered with the National Crime Agency, and at least have a look through the SAR form. I think you can download it and print it and have a look through and see what sort of questions they're asking. And on another Compliance Over Coffee, I'll talk you through the key factors for suspicions and what level of suspicion is gauged as being sufficient for you to actually submit the SAR. So that is Compliance Over Coffee for this morning. I hope that was really useful to you. What I wanted to mention just at the end here is that I'm running a one-day compliance workshop. Now, this is most of what was in the 5-day workshop, minus GDPR deep dive and AML process deep dive, which is now a separate course. But I'm doing a one-day workshop on basically the 12 steps to compliance and assessing clients, properties, sellers, etc. We've got a 5-star rating virtually across the board for the course up to now, which is fantastic. And the next one is on the 27th of February, with the one following on a date in April that I can't quite remember. In between, in March, is a data privacy and AML course specifically for sourcing agents. So if you've already been on one of my workshops, whether it was a one-day live or one of the 5 days or whatever it is that you've done, if you haven't had AML and data privacy training since, you have to have it annually. Now, I've created this live for the moment for you to be able to get that certificate to prove the training. So if you're questioned, you have proof of training, and I'm currently in the middle of putting it online so that eventually you'll be able to just do the online course as well, which will be CPD rated, I'm hoping by the summer. So that's it for this morning. I will put a link in for you to have a look at those workshops underneath this video. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will be back with you next Tuesday for another Compliance Over Coffee. Bye for now.